Welcome back, everyone. I've been talking about algebra, calculus, geometry, etc. on this channel and covering some specific topics related to this. Today, I'll be explaining all of algebra in 10 minutes or less. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. Algebra is a branch of mathematics that uses symbols like x and y to represent unknown numbers and their relationships. Equations are like statements that are true and formed using the various operations on these unknowns and known numbers. For example, 2x plus 5 equals 10 is an algebraic equation. Solving this equation means finding the unknown value of x that satisfies this equation. Algebra involves technique to solve and find the values by performing basic arithmetic operations like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. The way to solve this is by taking actions to isolate x on one side of the equal sign to keep the equation balanced. To keep the equation balanced, we need to perform the same operations on both sides of the equal signs. For that, understanding the order of operations is essential. We follow the PEMDAS rule. PEMDAS stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, which is from left to right, and addition and subtraction, from left to right. For example, if we solve 2 to the power of 2 divided by 4. Well, first, we would need to start off with the parentheses, which is the p. So now we would add this. Then we would do our exponent. So 8 to the power of 2 is 64. Now we can do either multiplication or division, but you should go left to right. So first we're going to do the multiplication. So 2 times 64 is 128. And 128 divided by 4 is equal to 32. So that's our answer. Now let's move on to solving equations. A simple one-step equation like x plus 5 equals 12 can be solved by subtracting 5 from both sides, giving x is equal to 7. Let me write that down. So x plus 5 equals 12. Now we have to subtract 5 and subtract 5 from both sides to keep it equal. So x is equal to 7. For a two-step equation like 2x minus 3 equals 9, so 2x minus 3 equals 9, we add 3 on both sides, so we get 2x is equal to 12, and then we have to divide 2 and divide 2 on both sides to get x is equal to 6. For more complex equations, such as for this one, we need to distribute the 3 into the brackets, so it would be 3x minus 3 is equal to 12, and then we add 3 on both sides, so we get 3x is equal to 15, and then we divide by 3 on both sides, and that gives us x is equal to 5. Inequalities work similarly to equations, but they use symbols like greater than, greater than equal to, and less than equal to. For example, solving 2x plus 3 is greater than 7 means we have to subtract 3 from both sides, so we would get 2x is greater than 4, and then we divide by 2 on both sides, which means x is greater than 2. And we can also demonstrate this on a number line. So say 0, 1, 2. So our number line, it would be like this, and then it would be going like there. A function is a rule that assigns exactly one output y for each input x. For example, function of x, or f of x, is equal to 2x plus 3. This is a function where x value determines a unique y value. Functions can be linear or nonlinear. A linear function, such as y is equal to mx plus b, forms a straight line on the graph, while a nonlinear function creates curves, such as parabolas or exponential graphs. When graphing, the x-axis represents inputs and the y-axis represents outputs. We plot points like 2, 3 on the coordinate plane, and we can determine the slope of the line by calculating the rise over run. So let's do that. And this is 3, 3. And let's say this is our line. And let's say this is our 0, 0 point. To calculate rise over run, all we do is take any other point. I'm going to take the 0, 0 point, and let's see how much it runs. So our run is 3, and our rise is also 3. That means rise over run. So we know that our rise was 3, so it's going to be 3 over 3, which is just 1. So the slope for this line is just 1. By the way, in the y equals mx plus c equation, the c is the y-intercept, which basically means where the line intercepts the y-axis, and the m is the slope. Exponents follow specific rules. The product rule states that multiplying powers with the same base adds their exponents. So for example, a to the power of m times a to the power of n is equal to a times m plus n. The quotient rule subtracts exponents when dividing. For example, a to the power of m divided by a to the power of n is equal to a to the power of m minus n. The power rule states that raising a power to another power multiplies the exponents, which basically means a to the power of m in brackets to the power of n is equal to a to the power of m times n. Polynomials are expressions with multiple terms, like 3x to the power of 2 plus 2x minus 5. We can add, subtract, and multiply polynomials, but factoring is a crucial skill. Factoring means rewriting a polynomial as a product of simpler expressions. For example, x squared minus 5x plus 6 can factor out into x minus 2 times x minus 3. And the way I did this was I found out two numbers that multiplied to get me 6, but those two numbers have to also add to get me 5. And those two numbers were actually -2 and -3. So all you have to do is write x minus 2 times x minus 3. A quadratic equation has the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. The quadratic formula helps solve these equations, like x is equal to -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Something crazy like that. Another method is factoring, like solving x squared minus 6x plus 12 by rewriting it as x minus 3 times x minus 4 is equal to 0, and finding x is equal to 3 or x is equal to 4. So basically what we did here. So now we can say that x can either be 2, because 2 minus 2 equals 0, and then that 0 would multiply here. So basically, if we're trying to make this equal to 0, x minus 2 times x minus 3 is equal to 0. That means either of these has to be equal to 0. So x can either be 2 or x can either be 3. That would be our two roots or our two solutions. Graphing quadratic equations creates parabolas, which have a vertex and an axis of symmetry. A system of equation is a set of two or more equations with multiple variables that share the same solutions. The goal is to find values for the variables that satisfy all equations simultaneously. There are three main methods to solve system of equation. Substitution, where one equation is solved for a variable and substituted into the other. Elimination, where equations are added or subtracted to cancel out a variable. And graphing, where the solutions are found at the point of intersection of the equation's graphs. System of equations can have one solution, intersecting lines, no solution, parallel lines, or infinitely many solutions, identical. And that's all of algebra. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.